it all kind of started when I was in high school. I was a senior in high school and, obviously did not know what I wanted to do at all. And I had built my senior schedule to be like, I'd only have to be there 2 days out of the week. And my mom was like, that's not happening. And,
you earned that.
I know. But she was like, no, you're going to, that's going to be a waste of your time. You're going to do something with that time. And so we did this thing. My high school offered this like concurrent enrollment type thing. So I started college when I was a senior in high school. And it was a trade type of program. And there was a radio and television program. And she put me in that because I was always that kid who had a camera in my hand. I liked to play around with audio stuff. I remember for my 16th birthday, I asked for like a pre-Sonos, like a microphone and the whole like mixer thing.
Just because you weren't like really trying to be on the radio, you just liked that stuff?
I did. I just liked that stuff. And I like to just record. I liked playing piano and guitar and stuff like that. So I'd use it for that. But then I remember sitting there late at night, just kind of talking into it.
Okay.
And I guess that's kind of where that all came from. And so I went to Pikes Peak Community College. They have a radio and television program there as a senior in high school. And that's where I started kind of falling in love with radio. I wasn't very interested in TV because I had already kind of done, they had a TV program type of thing at the high school. And so radio was really interesting to me. And I had heard stories about radio because my mom used to work in radio back in the day in Texas. So I kind of grew up with her telling me stories about that. And I was like, all right, well, let's try this radio thing out. I was really salty about it first, though. So I was
like, because it was like not cool because your mom did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally get. There was somebody else on the podcast that had the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just like, all right, I'll do it. And then I fell in love with it and went through the entire program, like the entire program. I got all the certificates that they offered. I did both advanced radio and advanced TV. And then it came to a point where I was able to take an internship outside of the college. And I had picked Cumulus for that. And that's where I kind of sunk my teeth into the kind of first commercial radio, which was it was fun. I learned a lot there and I had a blast.
Were you like promo intern or on air or kind of all of it?
They didn't really assign like any type of like place that I would work. They were like, this is all up to you. It's up to you what you do here. If you utilize everything that we have here. And I was like, yeah, I want to see what everyone does. And some of them didn't want that, but I tried. And I hung out with engineering. I hung out with DJs. I was particularly interested in like the manager side, the program directors, the ops managers type deal. Okay. I feel like I was very nerdy about it. I went everywhere they would let me. The only place that I wasn't able to really sit in with and shadow with was sales. Because I got sick towards the end of the internship and I was like, I don't want to make them sick.
Right.
I'll just leave it at that, but I'll be back.
Now, did you find which department, or were they anyone more receptive than others? I
was really welcomed into the Peak FM family, and I was really welcomed into the production side of it. Oh, okay. Probably more so than the Peak FM family. I worked with Alan White a lot.
I was actually going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of, I credit him for getting me into Cumulus because he threw my name into the hat. And I think that's a big help of how I got hired there. But we used to write commercials together and he showed me all these cool little tricks. And then I'd come back to, the college after the internship and be like, guys, look at this. Like, look what I just learned. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. And he was such a pleasure to work with, honestly.
And it really helps like so much to have those type of people on your journey that take the time to do that, like for you. Like you never forget those, and you just learn so much by somebody taking time to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's treasured moments. And I still talk with him too. Like we still talk and catch up and stuff. So it's super cool. He's a good friend. So I got hired at Cumulus before I graduated, and I kind of started off as a producer for KVOR. And that was an interesting journey because there wasn't like an AM type deal at our college. So that was an entirely new thing for me, learning those clocks and learning how those shows worked and working their boards. I remember it was definitely a struggle. One of my first shows that I did on my own had 20 minutes of dead air, which was not good. But I learned from it. And I just kind of started there, and I was doing like mock radio shows. I wanted to be on Peak FM, and I had told them from the beginning, I was like, that's going to be my station. That's where you're going to put me. And I did kind of fake Peak FM radio shows, and then it turned into me being on overnights, tracked overnights, which was another interesting thing because there was no tracking at the college when I went through the program. So learning how to track was very interesting. My first time, it took me 4 hours to track.
Wow. Is it because they just teach it all live?
Yes. Yeah. There's a tracking system there now, but when I went through, it was not there. And so that was a totally new thing for me.
Wow.
Yeah. But I remember I was so upset with myself because there was another guy who came out of the same college and same program, and he would like track. It's like 30 minutes, he's done. And then I took 4 hours, and I was like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I did overnights tracked for a while, and like a year passed and nothing was kind of moving. And so I had this thought in my mind. I was like, okay, so I guess this isn't going to happen. And so I kind of leaned off of the gas for that. And I got pulled into the ops manager's office, and he was like, you still want to be on air? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, okay, well then let's actually get you on the air. And that's kind of how I got into Peak FM, which is kind of that practice, a year of practice.
When you said that you were like doing those practice shows and stuff like that, even before doing overnights, was that just like in the production studio kind of thing?
Yeah, I was just kind of I would like follow a log and kind of put songs in there and then talk, and then I would mix it down and send it off to the PD for Peak FM.
Just using those resources to practice and show people what you're doing, and that stuff works.
Yeah, it definitely works, and it got me in there, got my foot in the door, and I didn't realize how quickly that door was going to open. Things kind of shifted. I saw people come and go, and it ended up, as time passed, it ended up me being on both Peak FM and Magic FM at the same time during the same air slot, which was very interesting.
Did they do that on purpose because both doors face each other?
I don't know. I've wondered that sometimes. Probably not, but like it's funny that they do face each other.
Yeah.
When I first interned with Cumulus, I didn't really have a lot of interest in magic. I had grown up listening to magic my entire life, but I wanted to see other things other than magic because I knew what the format was there, so I was curious about that. But it was interesting being on that station and kind of finding who I was as a DJ, because I was still very young and I didn't know who I wanted to be on that. Like Dallas Jade, she's on Magic FM and she's just the queen. Like, she's just great. And I was like, do I want to kind of lean a Dallas Jade way, or do I want to lean a different way? And it was hard trying to figure out, being a young person who already doesn't know what I want or who I am. And then also having to have a personality on a radio station. That was crazy. It was rough. There were days where I was really down on myself. I was like, I don't know what I am doing or who I want to be. And I remember thinking, well, I want to be kind of like, what if I was a mix of like Jolana Miller and Dallas Jade, or And so I would kind of model myself and kind of mold myself around what they meant to me as DJs. And I think that's where I started to go wrong in that, because I was covering up who I really was, because I was afraid to let that person out.
Especially because radio plays it so safe. Is it okay if I'm myself?
It definitely felt that way, especially I came into Cumulus, it's this big corporate, and I was like, I gotta be this big professional. I'll wear heels to work every day and nice clothes. And I did, I bought really nice clothes for Cumulus. And
I did that there too.
I was walking in there like a little professional, and on the outside, I probably looked like I knew what I was doing, but on the inside, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now?
As a young person, you want to be taken seriously, so
Exactly.
maybe kind of dress a little more like I'm an adult, because they do, especially as a female, and you probably get it a lot, the young female, they just automatically, they talk to you like you're an intern all the time.
They do. I did experience that. And, it took them a long time to learn what my name was. Not all of them. There were some people who, were very welcoming of interns, but then there were other people who just didn't want me around and made it known. And so
you're like, I'll remember you though.
And I have.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter now because they don't work in the industry anymore, which is not surprising to me. But,
okay.
And because of that, now that I'm here, now that I'm the promotions director here, I'm like, I am never going to shut my door to an intern, because I remember how that felt. And, I wanted to learn. I just wanted to absorb everything I could. And I was like, they want to do the same thing. And I'm going to leave that door open, no matter how crazy it is. Whatever question comes through, I don't care. I'll answer it. I am down to clown. I know what's up.
That gives me goosebumps, because it's those type of people, you know what I mean, that just do good in any type of industry, that, go through something and then say, this made me feel shitty and I don't want the next generation to feel shitty. So I'm going to change that when I'm, in those positions to do that.
I spent about 5 years at Cumulus, and then before the pandemic in January, I got pulled in and my name had been pulled for the chopping block. I got cut back to 10 hours a week. And that was kind of the slap in the face that I needed. It hurt like hell, but it was what I needed to be like, okay, I've been here for 5 years and I'm not even full-time yet. The pandemic hit. I took a vacation immediately after I got cut to 10 hours. And during that vacation, I put myself out there, and it was really scary. I made my websites, I built air checks, I sent them out, I put them on all access. I was like, maybe someone else will hire me, or maybe I can move to another place within Cumulus. But the pandemic hit, and no one was hiring, and they were letting people go. And that was such a weird time. I remember thinking, we were working from home, doing radio from home. And I remember sitting there thinking what we never learned about this in radio school, but I don't know how they would have taught us that. It was a strange thing to navigate through. And I remember I was scared about the whole world and everything. And I took a step back and was like, as a DJ, there are probably I want to be a source of happy things and kind of a break from everything that's going on in the news, all the world stuff that was going on. And so I went with that direction, and I made it my task, my life goal to bring positive things into my radio show during that time. And I'm glad I did, because some more time passed and I won the best evening show on Magic FM for 2020, which was shocking to me because I struggled so much trying to keep that show positive. Yeah, and I'm glad that it all paid off in the end. And it was scary too, because when I did that, I applied and I beat out actual college students. I got that when I was a high school student, and the chair of that department came out and congratulated me, and I was like, oh, don't say it out loud. Like everyone knows now. but yeah, I'm so thankful to them because they helped a poor girl out and got me here. So, so the pandemic hit and, no one was hiring. And so that kind of took the wind out of my sails. And so I just decided, I was like, I'll just, I was thankful. I was at only 10 hours a week, but I was thankful that I had a job. So, I was seeing people losing their jobs in the industry, and it was scary. And I, they furloughed people, and it was just a really uncertain time. I was so crushed by getting cut to 10 hours, but in the long run, it was my saving grace. And I just kind of, was floating around, just kind of hanging out. And then the furloughs ended, and some of the people that they furloughed ended up not coming back. And that was when I started to wonder if Cumulus was the right fit for me. And they let Alan White go. And that was like a knife to the heart for me, because he was like my guy. He got me in, and he was my friend. And I ended up taking his job, and it just felt so wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful that he trained me the way that he did, because I just kind of got thrown into it. And when I did get thrown into it, there was still a lot to learn. There always will be, but he had prepared me very well so I could handle it. I started to, I consider myself an introvert. However, I do like to be around people, and, Cumulus had us all at home, and it was getting to the point where I was getting super depressed and just upset. And I remember one day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to go to work today. And that was scary, because I had always, wanted to get up and go do radio and go have fun. And that was the first time where I was like, this isn't working. This isn't happening. And
are you still doing the 10 hours at this point? Or they upped them when they
upped it. Yeah. Okay. I got more hours, and which was nice. I was thankful for that, because, again, people were not working at all. And that was nice. But I was sitting there as, the sit-in production director, and I guess I had just come to this crossroads maybe where I was like, I have been here for nearly 6 years and nothing has happened. And I want to, jump ranks. I wanted to be a program director, and none of that had happened. And I was like, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I wasn't as talented as I thought I was. And, I got really down on myself, like dark down on myself. And I got a message from Summer Justice over here at X1039. It was RXP before, but they name branded and everything before I got over. And she was like, hey, Summer and I used to go to school together. So I knew who she was, and we were friends. And she was like, there's a spot that opened up over here. It's full-time. And your name just popped up in my head. I feel like you'd be a good fit for it. And I was like, okay, this is terrifying, but I'm going to try and apply. This is literally the most terrifying thing I have ever done in my career. And I've only been in this career for 6 years, but it was terrifying to think about leaving Cumulus, because that was my home. That was what I knew. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to this and see what happens. And it hurt. It was just like, I felt so just dirty and just
like you're cheating on your like, totally.
It did, because they welcomed me in and taught me so much, and then it was time for me to replant myself. I felt like there wasn't room for me to grow at Cumulus, and that's nothing they did or anything. It just, in my journey of radio, Cumulus was not the place where I was going to bloom. Mm-hmm. And I applied for RXP for that full-time position, and then a lot of time passed. And I was like, oh no. A couple weeks passed, and the PD over here, Sean Lucero, messaged me and was like, are you still interested in being with X1039 with RXP? And I was like, at first I was like,
yeah, am I being caught?
Is it gonna happen this time? But it did. And I had to figure out how to come over here while also still working for Cumulus. And it was like that betrayal. I felt awful doing that, but I stepped into this building and it looked like a radio station to me. You know, Cumulus, it's very cubicle-y at Cumulus. There's like vinyl all over the walls here, and there's a foosball table in like the lobby. Like there's just music related items and posters everywhere, and it was just bleeding X1039 and Kilo. I was like, wow, this looks like a radio station and not like an office. I walked in there and was, you know, presented myself. I walked in my professional Cumulus attire, like my nice clothes. And I remember Sean was like, you don't have to dress like that. I was like, good, because I hate it. Thank you.
That's awesome.
And I got hired that day. And like, I sent out an email and was like, I need to have a meeting with both PDs for Peak FM and Magic. I need HR to be there, and I need the ops manager and the GM in this meeting.
Oh, you were going to you're rounding them all for one?
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to hit them all at once. And I have never been so scared.
I would have done it one at a time because I would have been too scared.
Where it was all or nothing.
Like, you controlled that situation. How did that go? Did you get them all in the room?
They all came. I think the reason that they did was because the week before I was really depressed, and dark things were going through my mind, and I had crumbled. And I had called a meeting for that. And so they kind of, you know, I was a part-timer doing full-time work for multiple different stations and all that stuff. And so I think that's why they all showed up for this meeting, thinking that I was going to be like, oh, I'm good again. I'm good. Like, I can bring it back. And so they did. And I was like, I need to put my 2 weeks in because I just got hired at Bay Hackle Communications. And it was like a bomb went off. It was the longest silence I have ever endured in my life. I felt so bad. I felt just like a traitor, and I just felt like I was letting them down. But at the same time, I was like, I'm ready to jump ranks. Like, I am ready to do this.
If they liked it, they should have put a ring on it.
You know, I learned a lot over there, but I'm glad that I'm not there anymore.
Do they try to get you back, or they ask all these questions? Like,
it's silent, and the Magic PD is the first one to speak up, and he was like, well, this is awkward. I was so happy that he did that because he kind of broke the awkwardness of it, really. And they were like, oh, this is very surprising. And, you know, they wished me well. And I was like, well, thank you. I've learned so much here. And you took me in when, you know, I was a young whippersnapper of 17. And like, you know, I screwed up, but you were still there with, you know, helping me out. And you know, but it's time for us to part ways.
They're probably not used to, again, a young female coming in, and you controlled that situation. Like, even though it was scary as fuck, and like, you know, you probably didn't have the confidence that like, so they were probably just floored because they're just not used to somebody doing that. Because like I said, even you telling me that, I'm like, holy shit.
It was so scary. My mom, because she used to work in radio, she knew what the industry was like. And so she was like, you just need to rip the Band-Aid off. My mom has been like my biggest cheerleader, and she's tough. And that's so wonderful. I'm glad that I have her through that and now, and she's a good mentor for that. So I came over here to X1039, and I was scared because, you know, for 5 years, I had only known top 40 and adult contemporary. And so I was like, am I even going to be good for an alternative station? and like, I referred to myself as like a bubblegum bitch. Like I felt I was Justin Bieber and Jonas Brothers. Like I felt like that. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be cool enough to be on this station. So Sean started me out on overnights, kind of tracking for overnight. She just wanted to kind of get me comfortable. And she wanted to kind of listen to me. And I quickly moved from overnights to working weekends. And it was very interesting because for most of my cumulus career, I was tracked. I had only been live maybe a couple of times, and it was either overnight, like graveyard shift, or filling in. There was a time where I was filling in as midday host. So they were trying to find a midday promotions director for Magic, and I was filling in that spot. And I had come over here, and I was like, I want to be live. I had never liked being tracked. I am a perfectionist, and tracking gives me the opportunity to track over and over and over again. And I would just do it until I killed myself. And I was like, I am not doing that. I want to be live. And so I told Sean, I was like, I'm going to be live every single time I go on air unless I'm like dying. And so I did that, and it was rough because, you know, again, I was coming from a place where I was like, I'll be a mix of Dallas Jade and Jelana Miller, and that should be a good, you know, role for me. Like that, if I can make that happen. And again, I was hiding who I really was all throughout my cumulus career.
Okay.
And I got here and got on air, and something changed. I remember, you know, since this is kind of like my second time in it's a fresh start. It's my second time around the block, and I was like, I'm gonna do things differently this time. I'm going to be myself, and if they don't like me, well, then that's their problem. Like they, as the listeners, I was like, if they don't like me, that's fine. That's fine. The guy who trained me, his name is AJ Matthews, but he also goes by AJ Carlisle.
Oh yeah, I know.
He was my teacher for that radio and television program, and he had always told me, like, you wear masks all the time, and I was like, yeah, I do, because that's how I survive. And he was right, because I did. I had this. I was a black sheep covering up my black sheepness at Cumulus, and so when I came here, I kind of embraced that, and everything changed once I just straight up. I was like, I like creepy things. You know, I'm a horror movie person. If it's gross, I'm into it. Like, I don't care. And that was actually when I got over here to X1039. That was the first time I had launched social media for myself.
Okay. And
I did, and just kind of put the real me out there. And I was shocked. I gained a lot of followers on social media, and I had people calling me from, in the studio, and I was like, why haven't I been doing this before? Like, wow, this is crazy.
That's amazing.
And so that was really reassuring once I realized that my freaky people are out there. I was like, I am going to step into this. And Sean has really been helpful. She's the PD of X1039 here, and she's a role model for me. I had always been trained by men, and they did a great job, and they were wise and smart and everything, but I had always wanted like a strong female role model. Yes. And when I came over here, I found, Sean Lucero, I found Summer Justice, and, a bunch of others that are here. And that was what I needed to really kind of step into that was what I needed to be a strong female in this industry, was seeing other strong females kicking ass in this industry.
I love that you were able to get that going there. That's amazing.
Yeah, and Sean has been, working with me because I've always I came from top 40 and AC, and so this whole alternative format is so different. So I kind of knew about the format. I just didn't know how to be a DJ for the format.
Okay.
But that quickly came because, that past like of alternative was still there. Mm-hmm. And the transition from top 40 to alternative was actually quite easy for me. And what was interesting about moving here is that, it's a smaller business. It's not a big corporate like your Cumulus and your iHearts. And so I was shocked at how much freedom we have over here. Like, you know those stories where there's a dog that's lived in a mill its whole life? They like opened my kennel up and I was like, bro, what? And what I really like too is that at Cumulus, I never got to pursue my artistic side. I'm a graphics artist as well. Mm-hmm. And so when I came here, everything that we do over here at X1039 is in-house. Every promotion, every graphic that you see, the website, it is all in-house. We do have people who help us with like bugs on our website, but we kind of build it the way that we want to, and it's all from the inside. And so
that's amazing.
I know it was a culture shock, but I loved it. It was like just getting to do all sorts of artwork for the station. And I will say, I thought I was like, oh yeah, I've done like advanced graphics classes and stuff. I got over here and I had to learn the style of X1039 and Kilo, because I was making like cute graphics and like really kind of girly graphics. And when I got here, I was like, I need to get a little more edgy. And Summer Justice, she's our digital director here. I leaned on her so much because it had been a hot minute since I had used Photoshop. Or my weapon of choice was Illustrator, so I had that going for me. But we mainly use Photoshop here, and so I had to really lean on her, and she really trained me up, and I learned the style of hard rock or active rock and alternative quickly because of her help. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful she took me under her wing like that. And now both of us just geek out about graphics and like, oh, you got to see what I made over here. You can come into my office and you can check this out. And so
I love that. It's so much better than just sending it off to some, thing and they come back and there's no personnel, it's made by somebody that has no heart in the station.
Yeah, it's been super cool. Before I got here, the only like big kind of artistic graphics type thing I did for Cumulus was I designed the Peak FM car wrap, which was kind of on my way out. Since I was doing overnights, I was like, you have so much time during overnights. And you really don't have to do anything unless the station goes off air. So I sat there and I redesigned the station wrap for that vehicle. I really got to utilize that artistic aspect of me over here. And I told them coming in, I was like, at this point still I was part-time. I was like, I want to be full-time, and because this is my second time around the block, I'm giving you a year, and if I don't get full-time in a year, I'm out. And it came down to that. I was like, I was in the running for full-time here, and I had also, Jolana Miller had offered me full-time out on the East Coast, which was terrifying. But I was like, you know what? If I gotta move, I gotta move. And so I gave Sean and Ross and Jason my portfolio, and I also sent my portfolio off to Jolana. And I had originally applied for full-time with Kilo, and I was like, I'll have to get even edgier, because active rock would be another totally new thing for me. And also, I wasn't much of an active rock listener before I got here, so it was going to be very new for me. Mm-hmm. And it ended up, I was in my kitchen and Sean called me and she's like, "You want full time?" And I was like, "Yeah." and she's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to make you full time on X1039. Ross is going to let me keep you." And I was like, wow, I feel like I didn't react the way that I wanted to. I was really happy and really thankful, but I was also like, it's about damn time. In the long scheme of things, it's about damn time. Like, wow. And some time had to pass for me to really like, this is actually happening. So I got full time in under a year here, which was, it made me think like maybe if I had started here, things would be different. But I'm not the type of person who would change my past if I could go back, because I gained a lot from Cumulus. I learned a lot about myself, and I feel like the journey that I've had so far has made me who I am today. I wasn't a big corporate person, but I was trying to push myself to be that person. You know, I was young when I started, and I remember I just wanted to impress the people who were above me. And so it started with AJ. I remember I cut my hair. I cut it shoulder. I had really long hair like I had now. I cut it shoulder length. I straightened it out. I wore, like pants, suits and stuff. And it just makes me laugh now because my wardrobe now is what I used to wear in high school. And I would just painted over that completely. But we should welcome interns with open arms too. It's because I was lost, and probably the interns who are coming in now are lost, and so I don't want to make them feel worse. Like, let me help you into this industry. I remember now that I have somewhat of a following on social media, there was this girl who messaged me who she had, I think she was just getting ready to graduate from like media school, and she had messaged me and was like, "How did you do it? Like how I can't even get in." And I was flabbergasted that she was messaging me because she had twice the amount of followers that I did. I was like, "Are you sure you need my help? Like, you're already there, sis." And I responded back to her, and it just made my heart hurt, because she messaged back and she was like, "I messaged a lot of people and you were the only one who messaged me back." Wow. And I was like, that's not okay. Like, I'm going to help you out. If you're a young person trying to get into this industry, it's tough, it's hard, and I will always have my door open. I feel like in this industry, you need to be kind. You need to be caring, and because it's at the end of the day, this industry is show business and it's tough. and I feel like we need more kindness and compassion. And that's kind of now that I'm here and it's my fresh new start with Bayhackle. That's what I'm all about. I just want to spread kindness. I'll open the door. I don't care. Like, I'll teach you everything I know. I don't care. Like, I'm a lover of radio, and I want it to continue on, even if I'm not the one helping to continue it on. When I get older and I'm out of date and I need to leave the industry, young blood needs to know how to run this industry when the older parts of us have to leave. You said you want, like, your goals were like management stuff. Like, you want like program director or like operations manager, GM. Like, so when I got that full time here, and then a little bit of time passed, I think maybe half a month passed, and then our music director stepped down. She was she wanted to try a different field of work. She had worked in radio for a decade, and she was like, "I think I want to try something else." And I was like, "You know what? You do you, girl. You do you." And so I immediately applied for that, because I felt like, well, if I jump to music director, maybe I can get to like APD or something like that. And so Sean was like, "I think that we should make you the promotions director," and because I feel like that's a very natural and organic way for someone to step up to a PD. Because you really get knowledgeable about everything that's going on in the station, which is true.
Yeah, you got to work with sales and programming.
Yeah, and I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. And so that's kind of how I found myself here, where I am now. And I'm still trying to get a grasp of it, but I love it. I love it. It's fun. I get bored easily.
Okay.
And so when I have work constantly coming in, I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And so we're a we team, not an I team. Whenever we come up with an idea, we're all sitting around talking promotions. How would it work on air? How would sales sell it? How would we promote it? And I love that about this, because we are a very close-knit team, and it's always a we, not an I.
You have an actual little radio family at your spot.
I know, yeah. Every day.
What is, I guess, some advice that you would give to a intern or young person that's trying to get into it now?
I always tell interns that even though it is scary, and I know that it is scary, you need to push yourself to explore all the fields of radio. And now looking back, if a DJ treats you like crap, say something, because you are a human being too, and you're coming here to learn stuff. And I don't think that they should have to be afraid to learn how to be in this industry. Like, you have every right. You're the next generation who's going to be carrying this, you're making that needle move. You're going to be carrying the next genre of whatever radio is in the future, whether it be like super digital or if it's still what we have right now. And I would also say to, trust, it's very cliche, but trust in yourself, because young people and people younger than me too, they have their finger on the pulse of what's in, as far as digital stuff like social media. Absolutely. TikTok was scary for me when it came out. I still don't have a TikTok, and these kids are coming in and they're like, look at this TikTok. I'm like, how did you make that? Like, that is what this industry needs, is those kids bringing in that just natural instinct of how to use new digital platforms. Explore everything you can, get your hands in everything you can, even if it is scary, and trust in yourself, and be proud to be a young person, because you've got it. You know what's up. You know what's up.